Don't you begin to hear it? I mean, this is really what this is about.
I would have edited it.
Is listening, isn't it? Is listening and to see how we can keep our own persona, but keep a rhythm going on, keep something going on. Yeah, it's quite exciting, really, isn't it? That sometimes you can't have a break, but sometimes that break just pushes you to the end. I mean, that amazing where civil blood makes civil hands unclean, and it feeds that last. It's the last word that is so often the most important word, because it turns everything that you've said before on its head. Can you feel that? Yeah. Do you notice anything about the last two lines? What? Yeah.
It's a sonnet.
It's a sonnet, so it rhymes. There is a resolution about it. And so often we should be doing other things which just point that up, that there is something coming to a resolution, maybe sometimes a healing.
There's hope, too, at the end.
I was going to say it also points out the speaker, takes them out of the character of the simple storyteller to the humility to say, if you don't understand what I'm telling you, we'll do our best to try and help you understand this play. It calls attention to the...
Yes. There's always a kind of existential thing somewhere there, isn't there? Let's look at ourselves.
The scariest part of it to me is how to not be presenting or arguing in front of a group of people, you know?
Yeah.
I've relied on an objective, and I look at a speech that contemplates in an existential way.
Yeah.
Very frightening. It feels like you're falling instead of acting.
Yes. This is a very vital question, what you just asked. Extremely.
Sis, I don't know if the last words of each of the lines also almost completely give you the sense of, you know, dignity of what the play is, the play to come. You know, dignity, scene, mutiny, unclean foes, life, overthrow, strife.
Should we just read them all together? Just say, that's excellent, Benny. Right. Dignity, scene, mutiny. By repeating the last words of a speech, we hear the through line of its story. The words lead us through, and are often rather exciting.
Remove, stage, attend, manage.
It's brilliant, isn't it? That's fantastic. Yeah, fantastic. Oh, good. you stay now. Can we just get a little bit together? And what I just want to do is just jostle each other gently while you're doing it, but quite quietly. Two households, both alike in dignity, in fair Verona, where we lay our scene, from ancient grudge. This exercise stops us making the voice behave in the way we think it should. It not only releases the basic violence in the writing, words like grudge, rage, it also releases something in our own voice, some kind of natural, primitive response. Down with their death, bury their parents. Okay, can you feel that? You see that? I mean, just this is a silly thing because it's an exercise, but you'd still get irritated when you, don't you? And it just releases something in that language. I tell you what I would like, and that's one person to read it in the center. Toby. No, because I want us just to repeat words that, without looking at it, but the words which you feel grab you as he does it. Make it up to you.
Two households, both alike in dignity. In fair Verona,
just get a bit Verona.
In fair Verona, where we lay our scene.
Don't wait for them.
From ancient grudge to new mutiny, where civil blood makes civil hands unclean. From forth of fatal laws that takes two foes, a pair of star-crossed lovers take their life. Whose misadventured, piteous over piteous, doth with their death bury their parents' strife. The fearful passage of their death-marked love, and the continuance of their parents' rage, but their children's end, naught could remove, is now the 2 hours' traffic of our stage, the which, if you with patient ears attend, what here shall miss, our toil shall strive to mend.
Great, thanks. It's useful just to hear it by one person, actually. There's lots of things happening. What I'm interested in is that word households. That's what we have to grab onto, because it's not like two houses, is it? No. It's like households, families, airing cupboards, larders, everything. Households. And it takes a long time to say. 2 households, both alike in dignity. And then you've got quite short things after that. But these are all things that we can help.
The first 2 lines will set it up, and then it kind of speeds. It seems to have this kind of momentum which goes from ancient grudge break to new beauty. It sort of really draws you into the story.
Yes.
And then it sort of slows down towards the end.
That's right.
Changes again.
Yes, and then it opens it out to in a slightly more philosophical way.
Yeah.
From ancient grudge break. I mean, it's very violent. That. I mean, if we think of that language, that is violent language.
It's weird how you can get taken in by the sexy words.
Yes.
Like break and mutiny and civil blood. And then if you actually look at the more personal words, like there, the amount of times Shakespeare repeats there, keeping it personal, keeping it about them.
Yeah.
You know, their death, their parents, their death-marked love, the countenance of their parents' rage. If you actually just went through and picked the words that aren't obviously sexy and just went through, you know, those sort of ones, you'd find maybe how he kind of keeps going. Because in some cases, when we did that, we did go for those words because they're really good and actors love them because we can make them out, you know, have a good time with these.
Also, when Toby was reading, it's like the storytelling words are like things like which and from, and that's what kind of keeps it going in a way. And those, you know, you tend to lose those as well.
Is there anything that you would like to say after doing that exercise? Is there anything that sort of came to you that, like, revealed itself?
One thing that I think as an American and as an African American, that in approaching Shakespeare, we find that the words get in the way, basically because we come from such an emotional, feeling, visceral kind of immediacy that the words are like, you know, you're sitting waiting to say, but could you just give me the idea of what you're talking about and get on with it? So that to jump on top of the word or to be on the word when you said it made it visceral and alive in a different way. That kind of on it, you know, from seeing it worked that way, I never saw it worked on the word like that viscerally.
Well, that's exactly what I'm hoping, that it will bring together that area of the visceral feeling of it, and yet with the meaning and, you know, and getting that balance right. That's great. Just to summarize and sum up what we've just done for a moment, I hope what we've done is hear an underlying beat and the stressed and unstressed syllables knocking against each other, where it's irregular, where the sense stress and the meter stress is again knocking against each other, and the need to lay the first line of a speech, like in Two Households. We need that moment to just let the premise of it drop in. So much to do with this language is about giving the right spaces between the words. Each line is open to so much variation, syncopation I like to call it, like a line of jazz or blues or reggae. And this variation is what gives the wonderful energy and excitement to the speaking, for everyone will hear it differently. Working on sonnets is very good because it gives you a shape of something, a shape of thinking, a form. It makes you aware of that. Now, a sonnet is made up of 14 lines, and a speech from a play can be 3 or 4 times as long. Yet there is a basic structure which is common to both. What is important is for us to realize that you lay the subject almost at the beginning of something, and then you argue it through, and then you come to some kind of conclusion. So to be or not to be, that is the question, that's the premise. Then he argues it through. It is very important for us to ask ourselves, how much do we argue things through to ourselves? We don't just feel, really, do we? So let's, with that in mind, just read it quite quietly.
The expense
of spirit in a waste of shame is lust in action.
But it doesn't stop there, does it? Go on. Until action, lust is what? Perjured, murderous, bloody, full-flame, savage, extreme, rude, cruel, not to trust, enjoy no sooner, but despise it straight, has reason hunted, no sooner had, has reason hated, as swallow bait,
On purpose laid to make the taker mad, mad in pursuit and in possession so, had, having, and in quest to have,
extreme, a bliss in proof,
and proved a very woe. Before a joy proposed, behind a dream. All this the world well knows, yet none knows well to shun the heaven that leads men to this hell.
No. What words, immediately stick out for you?
Bait.
Yes. Because what happens when a fish eats
Dream.
bait?